Hey friends, welcome to your Thursday edition of Hot News. Hope you enjoyed your Wednesday and the amount of sleep you got last night, because it was likely more than me since we're working on transitioning our baby into a new room. And he did not like that last night. So I have been awake since 1 a.m. I'm lively, in case you can't tell. Well, let's talk about some cool stuff. Let's talk about the title of the video. Intel. We've got a leaked roadmap from them from Tweakers, which indicates their future plans for CPUs. And with all of the AMD news that's been coming out lately regarding Zen 2 and how they're having a 70% yield on their Zen 2 production for 7 nanometers, and everything seems to be going swimmingly. Chipsets are doing really great, but you know, Intel, they kind of have been stuck on 14 nanometers since 2015. Honestly, since the beginning of this channel, because the first PC I built on this channel was when Skylake had just launched. It was with the 6700K. Well, it turns out, my friends, Intel loves the 14 nanometer Skylake architecture so much. They think it's so great that according to their new client commercial roadmap, that the desktop components, you know, the ones that you and I will use, will remain on 14 nanometers until at least Q4 of 2021. Yes, my friends, you're looking at the roadmap right now. The only 10 nanometers Intel is going to be bringing out is going to be on the U and Y series mobile processors that are low wattage, likely because Intel can't make 10 nanometer CPUs at a high enough yield for the higher end processes to make it so that it's worth selling on the desktop or just for, you know, normal computer people. Like, it has to be on laptop only. So if we look at the roadmap specifically, right now we are in the Coffee Lake H refresh setup, which is up to 8 cores on 14 nanometers. Apparently, midway through next year, probably at Computex, it looks like they're gonna be dropping the Comet Lake, which is going to be 8 or 10 cores based on 14 nanometers, which is just fantastic. You know, we're expecting 16 cores from AMD later this year in just a couple months. It's okay that Intel doesn't have anywhere to go and they're totally just going to be on 14 nanometers and only bring us 10 cores, probably for really expensive pricing because they're Intel and they're not going to drop their pricing even if they're losing. No. Anyways, moving on, just a year later on Q2 of 2021, that's when we're getting Rocket Lake U. Woo! Which appears to be 14 nanometer CPU plus a 14 nanometer graphics chip, and it's going to be 4 and 6 cores respectively. So the high-end stuff is coming out in Q2 of 2020, and there's just no roadmap for 10 nanometers whatsoever. It looks like Intel has really gotten screwed over with whatever type of development they were trying to do with 10 nanometers. It's just not coming. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they skipped it altogether and they just went straight to 7 nanometers themselves. And before people are saying, oh, well, AMD is going to be on 7 nanometers. Intel 7 nanometers is better than AMD 7 nanometers because Intel's 10 nanometers is equivalent to AMD 7 nanometers. That's why it's such a big deal that AMD actually got ahead, because it looked like Intel had their roadmap set up for such a long time that everything was going to be fine for them. Nothing was going to go wrong, and they were going to solidly hold the lead in the CPU division, but it looks like they just are not able to get the architecture working on 10 nanometers, and they're going to have to redesign everything if they're going to bring it out to us. And there were rumors, I think late last year, talking about how Intel might just get 10 nanometers altogether. It looks like they'll bring it out for mobile stuff, but at least according to this leaked roadmap, we're not going to see it on consumer desktops for at least 2 years from now. That's insane. At least 2 years. We've been waiting since 2015. I could have had a kid in 2015. My wife could have had a kid in 2015, and he would be 7 by the time we actually get 10 nanometers from Intel. That is ridiculous. My actual kid's gonna be 10. Holy crap. Dang. I'm old. Well, that's enough about Intel. Let's talk about some good AMD stuff. So we've been talking a lot about AMD's 50th anniversary, which is going to be at a celebration May 3rd in Canada, of all places. Yes, I know ATI was born there, but it's AMD, not ATI. So, you know, snobs who like Canada can just go drink some maple syrup, eh? Anyways, so the 50th anniversary edition of the Ryzen 7 2700X that we're expecting appears, from at least a leak from video cards, to be only special because it comes in a special gold box and has Lisa Su's signature on it, which, as Reece said, why would you ever sign a CPU? You're just gonna rub the thermal paste and it's gonna go bye-bye. Well, you're not supposed to use these, okay, my friends? Are you gonna use these? No, you wouldn't, because you wanna keep Lisa Su's signature forever emblazoned on a shrine where you just offer up sacrifices and starting fires using the heat of old AMD graphics cards, because they'll keep your house warm forever. Next story! Then there's some interesting news coming out of the Phoronix site talking about how it looks like Linux drivers for a new AMD GPU seem to be like they're about to be unveiled. Wow, that was a mumble jumble of a sentence, Brett. Well done, I'm proud of you. Anyways, Navi driver code appears to be formulating in Git repositories for upcoming Linux drivers. It's kind of an exciting time. I told you I only got 2 hours of sleep last night. My tongue is not working today. Anyways, Navi drivers for Linux coming out. Really cool stuff. Looks like Navi's gonna get released sometime soon, hopefully, or this is just for them testing. I don't know. We all want Navi, good thing. Moving on. So Laptop Magazine just came out with a new report that indicates how well companies do for customer support with their laptops. And at the top of the chart is Apple in the first position, beating out everybody else, including Razer, Dell, Asus, Acer, all of the other laptop companies. It looks like Razer actually beat Apple in web support, but with Apple, they beat them in phone support, averaging only 6 minutes per phone call that came in for laptops, which, I mean, obviously, the phone calls are just go like, "Hey, Apple, my laptop don't work no more." Well, you need to bring it into a genius so that we can fix it for you. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not a genius, you're an idiot. You don't even know how to fix your own crap, you idiot. You spend so much money on things. Okay, thank you, bye. That's how it works. This guy knows. But the worst one of all is MSI coming in 11th place with 10 points on web support and 20 points on phone support. They're just garbage for their, laptop support, apparently. I wouldn't have guessed. Shots fired. Then let's talk about video games. So China has been known to have some heavy regulations when it comes to video games, and in fact, they were experiencing a sort of shutdown when it came to approving video games for the country and what relevant games could be approved by their regulation board. Well, it turns out that recently they just actually passed a new policy regarding how they're going to be approving games. They say that they hopefully are going to work through the backlog that they created for themselves, as well as get through all of the games that have been submitted after April 22nd, and they expect that less than 5,000 games will be approved this year, especially because most of them are, and I quote, low-quality copycat poker and mahjong games. Moving on. So we talked in an earlier Hot News episode about how Nepal had actually banned PUBG because of addictive qualities, and it was harmful to children. Oh, won't anybody please think of the children? Well, and apparently they overturned the ban because it looks like it might have been violating their constitution. Couldn't have guessed that it wasn't a good idea to ban video games when you should just let people make their own decisions, especially when there are already policies in place to kind of limit children's interactions with games like that due to ESRB and PEGI ratings. Like, there's obviously ways that this has already been regulated and mitigated as far as trying to inform people of what games to play and what not to play. Banning it outright, just never the right way to go. We should probably burn books next, I'll tell you what. And I don't know how many of you guys care about this, but I certainly do. Persona 5 is by far my most favorite games on PlayStation 4. Over 100 hours put into that game, and it turns out that they're coming out with a re-release with enhanced storylines, more characters, and just kind of basically a Persona 4 Golden for Persona 5 called Persona 5 Royal. It's going to launch October 31st this year in Japan, and they confirmed that it will come out sometime next year for the West and the rest of the Asian countries. I'm excited for this. Also, apparently there's supposed to be a Persona 5S announcement today. It hasn't been done as of the time of filming, but hopefully that means that Persona 5 is coming to Switch. I'm totally okay if it's not the Royal Edition, because they could just release it today. If they just announce it and release it on the same day, Atlas, I promise you I will buy this and the Royal for PlayStation 4, okay? Please just do it for me, okay? A YouTuber that you don't know. Give me my games. And then in something that's actually also cool, because apparently this week is the week that I'm gonna tell you guys about my personal life. So aforementioned baby who we moved into a new room, he's had certain medical problems, including epilepsy, which I talked about yesterday, but he also has other developmental disorders that we haven't been able to pinpoint, but basically the best thing we can compare it to is apraxia of speech, where his body physically won't allow his tongue to actually say words. But it appears that scientists have been working on a brain implant that can transmit signals into actual speech, because right now our solution is to get like a digital medium where he can press a button to communicate what he wants, but this one can actually interact with the brain and create a brain machine interface to actually communicate on behalf of the person. Obviously, this will be great for people who are mute and for other things such as ALS or Parkinson's, but like this is really good, and I'm excited because like 2 things in a row, like driverless cars, and then also hopefully some sort of like conversion of speech or brain thoughts into speech instead of having, if you have a mouth that can't work. It excites me because my kid might have a bright future. And then there's been discussions about the Nintendo Switch actually coming out with 2 new models, a lighter version as well as a more pro version with an upgraded SoC. Well, it appears that the lower cost, more like budget-oriented, kid-friendly Switch seems like it's gonna launch in June, according to some sources at Bloomberg. Hopefully this just means that it has the same technology that the original Switch has, now that it's 2 years old. And even when the Switch launched, it was using generation-old architecture. I believe it's a Maxwell SoC that it's using, and Pascal was already out by quite a few months at that point, so they were already a generation behind. Now they're a couple more generations behind, and hopefully it just means that the lower cost Switch means that the Tegra is still Maxwell and they just are charging less money. I don't know, that's the only thing that can make sense to me. The technology hasn't changed. Nintendo, don't charge us more. But you know who doesn't take the request to not charge us more seriously? Samsung with the Galaxy Fold. We talked about how they are postponing it indefinitely because it's not working. Well, iFixIt comes out with their teardown and basically just says, wow. It's just like a goat, like that. Anyways, at least 5 times in this teardown, they refer to this device as being fragile. And most of the time, it's with a modifier, like very or extremely. And so, yeah, the Galaxy Fold, even the components, not so great. I mean, it's basically created in such a way that any little disturbance to the screen bricks the entire device, because it required some innovation to make it work, but the innovation isn't in a way that like actually works with real life usage. So, extremely fragile. And then Facebook, they were in discussion to have a major fine by the FTC. Record-setting was the rumor that was floating around, but it wasn't really that big since the FTC had only been known to give millions of dollars worth of fines. Well, apparently Facebook has set aside money to pay for a $3 billion fine, but rumors are indicating that it's probably gonna be somewhere close to $5 billion in a massive slap on the face for Facebook's violation of people's privacies, not really disclosing the fact that they were selling their data off to companies, or companies had access to their data even though they weren't supposed to, and that wasn't in the privacy policy agreement. It looks like the FTC is actually taking it pretty seriously, considering the fact that Facebook brings in roughly $15 billion a year. A $5 billion fine is quite substantial, and hopefully companies take our privacy seriously, but I doubt it. But you know who else not really doing great on the money front? Tesla. But even though they've reported their highest first quarter revenue ever, they also posted losses that are very similar to the rest of the years, coming in at $702 million for Q1 of 2019. That is insane. Losing nearly $1 billion. It's a viable company though, my friends, because we got Elon Musk at the helm, and who cares about net profit? That doesn't matter at all, especially when you go public and have shareholders who are financing the fact that you're losing money all the time. But it's ingenious. I love the cars. I'll tell you what, it's just $702 million loss hurts me. But you know who's not hurting me? Microsoft. Microsoft's not hurting me because they made money, more money than people expected, coming in with a revenue of $30.6 billion, thanks in large part due to their cloud server rollout in the rest of the world. In fact, that Microsoft even had an announcement, I believe a month or 2 ago in Johannesburg, talking about how they were gonna be rolling out Azure servers to South Africa. So that's pretty exciting. Good job, Microsoft. Now, if you could just put that money to actually hiring back a quality team to check updates before they go out and not being such greedy punks when you have to fire the quality assurance team, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why you do it? Speaking of paying people though, Amazon apparently was paying people in their company to do internal reviews on Alexa and the use cases that people used it for, kind of reviewing how people are actually interacting with their device. Well, apparently, not only did they allow people to just, you know, check and see how people are interacting with their stuff, but they were also given access to things such as location data and search history and all of your audio clips, not just like a transcode or transcription of what you said, but literal, they can hear your voice and they know where you live. It's kind of creepy. They signed an NDA apparently so that they would never say anything about this in public, but it's come out and you know, I don't like this. When I buy an Alexa, I don't remember hitting yes to a privacy policy. But then again, I didn't buy an Alexa because I don't like people named Alexa. That's the worst joke that I have today. And that's gonna wrap it up for Hot News today. Let me know what you thought of the Intel roadmap, anything that we talked about between that and the last article. I wanna hear from you down below in the comments. In case you're wondering what the heck this is about, we just got our delivery of displates. We're super excited. We don't have everything set up as a official sponsor just yet, but if you go to displate.com/UFD-tech, so basically UFD tech with a hyphen in between. Anyways, you can check out our collection and everything that we got. They are running a sale right now for 15% off, so you could use that. It's not a personalized UFD tech coupon, and they haven't paid us for that. They just sent over these awesome metal plates. High quality metal posters. I love them. These are going on our walls. You'll see them in a ton of sets. This is the best Goku I've ever seen. My goodness. Anyways, that's it. Timestamp, sources, everything down below in the comments. I'm gonna go get some sleep sometime soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see your smiling face again in the next video. Love you too, bye. Why you do it?